brother.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Dallas fans don't know what these are.
Gets it, Saquon Barkley, first down. Barkley, Saquon. E-A-G-L-E-S-G.
Covers, baby!
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Under the Wing podcast. And you know what? It's playoff time, baby. The Week 18 finale last night was crazy, but you know what's even crazier? Dallas fans are on the couch. Just kidding. That's not crazy. That's a normal everyday thing. But we got a good show for you. We got action-packed. All kinds of action today on what is Black Monday. A lot of coaches getting the boot, especially a former Eagles defensive coordinator. We're going to get into that in a little bit. We're going to talk about the wild card weekend. Some big games, potential upsets that I think, I don't know about Mooner, but I think could happen. We're going to dive into the draft a little bit. The first 18 spots are already decided, so we'll just kind of give you the rundown on that. But without further ado, we do have a couple guests. First, we have Benny, and then we also have Chaos Chris tonight. Rocking the shades, Chris. I like it.
My goodness.
How you fellas doing tonight?
Doing great, guys. It's great to be back on. I can't wait to talk about the playoffs. And you already know I've been focused on the draft since about week 8. So this is going to be a fun show.
Yes, it will be.
Ready. He's ready when the Eagles get a higher pick because they didn't get the second seed.
Oh my gosh. We really start. You know what? Actually, no. Because, Chris, how many weeks ago was it that you were like, oh, Tanner McKee, so much better than Jalen Hurts?
He was throwing a fucking Brayton Covey.
Why did he throw it out of bounds, Chris?
Because nobody's open.
He wasn't hitting them in the hands, Chris. He was throwing it out of bounds, Chris.
Because
Don't get me started, Joseph.
He was throwing it out of bounds. Jalen, on 4th and 3, would have made that throw. He wouldn't have thrown it out.
Well, Jalen
does the same damn thing. He runs all the way.
Wait, you know what? Jalen on 4th and 3 would have ran for it, and he would have got it.
Look, Jalen Hurts is elusive, dude. Tanner McKee should never have to run out of the pocket ever. So the fact that Matt Pryor threw for more yards than Jalen Hurts has been averaging that game, and he had like a 51% pass percentage.
Did you see his beautiful spin move attempt?
What happened with Smitty in there, though? He was elite with Smith in there.
Yeah, you give him one good receiver.
For one drive.
Yeah, exactly, Joseph.
2 drives.
All he did was throw it to Devontae Smith.
No.
He didn't have anything else to
we're
throw
arguing.
to.
We're arguing over
throw
who
he makes. Cooper gets up and spins the fucking ball in somebody's face.
We're arguing over who the Eagles should have started, how this play should have been, who he should have thrown to. In actuality, the Eagles were never going to be the 2 seed because the NFL wanted the Bears versus the Packers. That's what they wanted in the playoffs, and they got it.
Yeah.
What's up, Jesse?
I come in and chaos Chris right away. What is that?
Crazy. But yeah,
look, McKee ain't better than Hurts. Okay, if I'm saying that, I'm mostly joking around and all that. I'm just angry at what Hurts is saying.
I will say this: Tanner McKee probably cost himself a chance at a starting job. With that
I don't understand how, because for him going out there with 2nd and 3rd strings going up against the starters on defense, he looked pretty solid. Like our receivers were worse than the Bills, dude.
We can talk about this if you want. There's going to be a lot of quarterbacks that are out there and are probably available via trade or free agency. When we're talking free agency, immediately off the top, you have to wonder. Daniel Jones had a great half of the season. I know he's come back from an Achilles injury, but is a team going to throw a 2 or 3 year contract at him? Kyler Murray is going to be available likely via trade. Justin Fields will be available. He's got starter experience, and while he doesn't win a lot, he certainly has proven that he is talented, or at least has some talent.
Yeah.
You go down the list. What happens with Jacoby Brissett in Arizona? They have a pretty high pick. Are they going to go with a quarterback? Geno Smith in Vegas. They cleaned house.
Like Mac Jones, a free agent.
Mac Jones is a free agent. Tua in Miami. Are they going to bring him back? Would another team offer him a chance? There's a lot of quarterbacks out there. So Tanner McKee was already kind of one of those quarterbacks that maybe he was could have been in the mix to be brought in to compete for the starting spot, I think that's all but washed away now.
He always kind of seemed like somebody to me, like, who would get taken by the Giants and thrown with their experimental session. Of course, now we know that they're going to probably be sticking with Jackson Dart until his legs fall off. But like one of those experimental situations, or him being a backup for the Steelers, and if something isn't working out, let's throw him out there and see how he does. And I think if he goes behind a starting offense, he will. I mean, he didn't look that bad. Like, I understand he threw a pick. I might have been was that his first pick ever? Maybe his second.
No, he's thrown an interception before.
Okay, so he goes out there, he throws an interception. He went, I think, 21 for 40, which isn't good. But I was there. Like, he would hike the ball. Our blocking's been bad this year anyways. When you have our backups in, it was really bad. He was rolling out. And my dad was like, why does he keep rolling out? And it's like, because he has to. He hikes the ball, and there's some 300-pound, 6-foot dude in his face as soon as he gets it. And it's like, he was not comfortable rolling. He's not the fastest guy. I'm surprised he did so well running. And people were like, look at that stupid spin move. It's like, yeah, look at what Tom Brady would have done with that spin move. Of course, that's different because he's 1,000 years old. But or prime-time Peyton Manning. Like, these guys aren't elusive quarterbacks. Tanner McKee isn't an elusive quarterback. He doesn't fit our offensive scheme.
He's a pocket passer.
What is this offensive scheme at this point, though?
Trash. It's not good. It's not good. I'll certainly say this.
He has to roll out to the right every single time, and then you see all the routes are 15, 25 yards down the field. When you need 5 yards, it's just like, run a simple something in the flat, something. Like,
the 3rd and 3 lost us that game.
He didn't even have a chance to even dump anything off. That's why he had to throw everything out of bounds. Like, if there's something there in front of him where, he's got to roll out of the pocket, whatever. The offensive line sucks. But you got somebody in his face where he could just dump it off, and maybe it doesn't get a first down, but it gets close.
Exactly.
Think about doing
a safe backup. You just have one man running a flat or a hook or something.
Yeah, something. It's not just with McKee. It's with Hurts every single week too. You see the same thing. It's like,
I'll say this: the Eagles got bailed out by the fact they're not going to have to play the Rams in the first round. They're going to have to play a 49ers team that's pretty beat up. Their defense isn't what it used to be. Their offense probably will perform good enough for them to get a win. But, I'm going to say this, and I want everyone to understand exactly what I'm saying. I want to see the Eagles win. I want to see the Eagles repeat as Super Bowl champions. However, the best thing to happen long-term for the Eagles is for them to not win on Sunday. Or Saturday. It's not win, it's to lose. And
tell him he's wrong, Joey. Look him in his eyes and tell him he's wrong. Tell him he's wrong.
Benny, as a self-respecting Birds fan, you're wrong. Okay.
It pains me to say that, but any scenario where Kevin Patullo is brought back as an offensive coordinator is the worst scenario for this team.
I don't think they're going to fire him even if they lose.
Listen, guys. We're going to repeat, and then the Giants are going to go, hey, Kevin, how about an interview? Kevin's going to be like, hey, Giants, sure. And then they're going to get married. And then it's going to be wonderful because we're going to bring in like Kevin Stefanski or something. And it's going to be amazing.
Kevin Stefanski would be a amazing hire.
No, we're going to do, Joey. We're going to walk into a preschool. We're going to point at the first kindergarten teacher we see.
Oh, boy.
And we're going to bring him up to the big leagues and be like, you're now our offensive coordinator. Because I think that's what happened to Kevin Patullo.
Let's hire Phillip Rivers as our offensive coordinator.
That would actually
be cool.
No, they need to do the opposite. They need to go get an old guy who doesn't want to go anywhere.
Like
Vic, like
Stefanski.
Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
No, Pete Carroll would be terrible.
Speaking of
coordinator,
Benny brought up the 49ers, and they were actually the first team I wanted to talk about in our Week 18 recap because I think we just saw the formula to beat the 49ers this weekend. The Seattle defense was suffocating. Their offense was miserable. But they did enough to contain Purdy and CMC, and it should have been a lot worse of a game than it was. It should have been probably 20, 24, to 3. But 13-3 wasn't the greatest of games to watch. But boy, did they handle business. And I'm not like I said last week, Seattle's going to get a lot of false hope from Sam Darnold, and I think that's right there because if they have to play the Rams in 2 weeks, I don't think Sammy's up for the challenge. But San Francisco definitely looks beatable, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%.
I don't know how you guys feel about it, but that just gave me a lot of confidence. Even before I knew if we were playing them or not.
Yeah.
I know I had said in one of my group chats, I said, you know what? If we get San Francisco, our defense is as good, if not better than Seattle's. We can do the same exact thing.
All right, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. We can go over more of that in the wild card preview, of course, which we have coming.
Yeah, and then
because that's gonna be a huge topic. For
another game that was on Saturday. The Buccaneers beat the Panthers 16-14, but then the very next day, as we told you last week, it was very, very hectic in the NFC South, where the Falcons beat the Saints, and they have a 3-way tie for first place, and the head-to-head record goes to the Panthers, who sneak in as the NFC South winner and the 4 seed, hosting the LA Rams. Yeah, we'll get into that one too.
The NFC South is the most unserious division in NFL history. How about this? So here's a fun fact for you. The Falcons were eliminated from the playoffs over a month ago. I believe it was about a month ago. On December 1st, the Falcons were officially eliminated from playoff contention. They finished the season tied for first and fired their head coach.
That's awesome.
Like, think about that.
Yeah.
That division is so mid.
I saw someone post this meme. It was the Buccaneers and the Panthers, and then it was that cockfighting meme from Family Guy where it's like the Buccaneers and Panthers, and then you have like the Saints and the Falcons as like the two teams fighting it out, and then obviously that's how the division was decided by a game that didn't mean anything. Speaking of which, the Panthers-Buccaneers game was the most rigged game in NFL history.
Oh yeah, it was horrible.
That was pitiful. The NFL did that so that way you had to watch the Falcons and Saints game. That was pitiful.
That was ridiculous, dude.
I mean, it was so egregious. Like what they called the offensive pass interference on McMillan.
Which was hilarious because previously before that they like honored one of line, I think it was either a line judge or an official or something like that. They honored him as being like, oh, he's the oldest tenured official. This is his last game he's going to call. And then that official had to explain to Tet McMillan why he called him for an offensive pass interference. It's like, what is this? Like this, what is this? What is happening right now?
And then you get on the other side, Otten trips over his feet and they call it defensive pass interference on.
I don't know. It's been
tripped over his feet and all because he didn't turn around.
And even with the Eagles game, I think we had like 123 penalty yards, 9 flags through.
That's because Keely Ringo sucks.
A lot of Keely Ringo.
Also, the catch at the 5-yard line from Darius Cooper, where he spins the ball, but because it was in the direction of a player, that's unsportsmanlike conduct. It's
they missed the part where the Redskins player, the Redskins player knocked the ball out after the play was over.
Yeah.
Like that's a penalty. That's delay a game. If you're going to call it, you got to call it both ways and don't just call it one way. But that's the way the NFL's been all year. They pick and choose games all year.
It's ridiculous.
Week 18 has officially become the AEW, the WWE, the NXT, the TNA Impact, whatever you want to call it, the wrestling promotion week, where it's just like, oh, the NFL can use this week to get the outcomes they want to set up the playoff bracket. That's what they did. I mean, they Packers versus Eagles for what, the 50th time? That's not going to draw on eyes, but Packers Bears, that's a historic rivalry. They want that. Right. Eagles versus Rams. Come on. We saw that last year and that was really cool. But how about 49ers Eagles? Those two teams hate each other. Like that's what the NFL wants. That's what the NFL wants. You know what the NFL wants in round 2? We can just jump ahead into that. The NFL wants Rams Seahawks in round 2 and they want Bears Eagles in round 2. That's what they want. Yeah. That's what they want.
And honestly, I'm not trying to make excuses. We had our backups in. Who cares? Okay, we're 3rd seed. Could have gotten 2nd. I'm happy with 3rd seed. I like where the games are sitting right now. I like playing the 49ers. But honestly, without the flags, we're winning that game. Because look at it this way. We had 123 penalty yards, which was almost as much as I can't ever remember is Josh Johnson, almost as many passing yards he had. He had 131 passing yards. all he would have to do is air it down the field 55 yards, and there'd be a defensive pass interference. There's probably 3 big plays that were terrible throws that turned into defensive pass interference that put them in the red zone or in opposite territory, and it just screwed everything up.
Yeah, but that's part of the problem with the Eagles all year, though. They've been doing stupid things with the penalties all year. Yeah. Whether it's offensive, defensive, the shooting themselves in the foot with penalties and turnovers are the reasons that the Eagles won't win the Super Bowl. If they do those 2 things, they won't win the Super Bowl. If they stay away from those 2 things, they can win one.
Yeah. To me, this offense has to smooth out its play calling. The route running, the route trees, they're not sophisticated. Unfortunately, that's not going to change overnight. So this is the offense you've been seeing. It's pretty much the offense you're going to get. It's a bottom 20 offense. A 23rd ranked offense, whatever it is in the NFL. It's not efficient. It's not fun to watch. It's not sexy. They're not going to put up a bunch of points.
It's boring.
It's boring. I would crave a boring offense. This offense is worse than boring. It's repulsive. It is an insult to offenses.
Yeah, I still think it's good enough.
Yeah, because that defense.
How much of it is also getting carried by the talent? Like if you throw Kevin Patullo, if he's calling the plays for almost any other team, what would they look like? I think a lot of it is our offense looks bad, but the only reason it's functioning at all is because we have experienced and super talented guys up there. That's the only reason why we're even kind of competing at offense.
Yeah. The only game yesterday that was not like, let's say,
interesting,
Roger Goodell's hand in it, I believe, was last night's season finale.
Oh gosh,
what a game! What a game! It's like
every game of the week.
Yeah, every week. It's like one of the games was the game of the week, and this one it took a long while to get going, but once the fourth quarter hit, it became a track meet, and I don't know what it was. I know at least from a Ravens standpoint, losing Kyle Hamilton hurt them so badly.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it's like, how many times is Lamar Jackson going to find Zay Flowers wide open down the field, and your defense just can't make a stop?
Yeah,
and then it was a rookie kicker. I do feel bad for him.
And he was doing great all season.
Yeah, I think he got set up by the announcers too, because Mike Tirico was probably a minute to go. It was he's anything outside of 50 yards he hasn't made, but anything inside of 50 he's made, and he's been great. And it was oh, there it is. Brutal. It's coming. And
absolutely brutal.
I told you guys beforehand, but I said before the game started, this is where kickers screw up, especially considering that he's a young guy and his mind is fresh. And I swear, right after I said that, he missed the kick. And I was rooting for the Ravens. I was hate watching the Steelers. I had too many Steelers fans, friends, guys at work that were smack talking the Birds. And it's just all right, well, your 80-year-old quarterback is going to get you one playoff appearance, I guess. And, I was really hate watching them. And I'm and we're watching, me and my dad stayed up watching the game, and it was oh my gosh, Chris Boswell just sold the game. Because if he didn't miss that extra point, then Tyler Loop's kick would have brought them to overtime. And to watch them go down the field, beautiful catch by Isaiah Likely, for them to miss that field goal. I feel for the guy. I really do. I hope Tyler Loop can recover from this, because this really that screws you up as a kicker, man.
You feel for Tyler Loop. He's not going anywhere. The Ravens aren't going to be cutting him anytime soon. He obviously came in and replaced Justin Tucker, but I also feel for the Ravens, because this kind of felt like the end of something. What it is, I don't know, but I think there's going to be a pretty big shakeup in that front office with that coaching staff. And, obviously we can talk about that in a little bit, but hey, you know what? The AFC North does a lot better job of the last game of the season than the NFC South does. That was actually very thrilling. You kind of feel confident about, the Steelers going into the playoffs. You feel like this is a team that could do something. I don't know what necessarily they're going to do. We can talk about that when we go into the playoff preview, but Rodgers looked like really good, like for what is he, 42, 43 years old? He looked outstanding. Mm-hmm. So he's probably going to be back another year. And if he's back another year, the Steelers probably aren't going anywhere, at least in terms of competing for that division.
Yeah. Sticking in the AFC North, Myles Garrett broke the single season sack record.
He got the Strahan treatment.
Yeah, he kind of had a lay down from Joe Burrow, but
Joe Burrow just fell down.
It is what it is. But congrats to him. And I saw Michael Strahan's reaction, and I think we're at the point now where it's no matter what, any record that's broken, Eric Dickerson said it last year, I did it in less games.
Yep.
Yeah. But I want to point out
if these legends want to play that game, you can go back to when they broke
the records. When they broke the records, it was in addition to what it was before.
Or before that, when the NFL in the 20s, where the NFL played 8 games, and it was against the Bears might play the Packers once, and then they were playing a bunch of lumberjacks and bottle carriers and whatnot, and maybe a local military outfit, and that was it.
Yeah, I don't want to chase rabbit trails here, but I gotta say this, and I mean specifically for Eric Dickerson, he had 300 something, or early 300, late 290 carries when Saquon was sitting at 239, 240 or something like that. And it's dog, he would have broken your record. Let's say we gave him 20 carries against the Giants, which I think would have been, we wouldn't have done that much. Yeah. He wasn't 20 carries away from, I think, breaking the record. I think it was less than that.
100 yards, yeah.
Exactly. I was let's just say we gave him 20 carries. You still had, 50, 60 more carries than him? Mm-hmm. So I could care less about, I did it in less games. It's but you did it in a lot more carries.
Yeah, well, that plays
that just always bothered me
to Myles Garrett, because he did it in 5. It was either high 400s, low 500s, as of a snap count, versus Strahan did it in the high 600, low 700 snaps.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
In more games but less snaps, he broke the record. Yeah, so that's pretty impressive.
Wow,
from one of probably the best defensive player in the NFL.
On a team where he had to do that.
Yeah.
For the Browns to do anything.
That's the most impressive part to me is he was on a bad team.
So bad.
Exactly. Yeah, he wasn't surrounded by too many threats on the defensive line. He's somebody who's getting double coverage on, and that's scary. That shows you how scary Myles Garrett really is.
Go trade for him. Give 3 for a first round pick.
There's another edge rusher I think the Eagles should make a move for. We can talk about that in the upcoming segments, though.
All right.
But like I said, a team in the Browns that was so bad, you know what they did? Fired their head coach.
Yep.
So I didn't make a lower third for this one because I kind of added this one late. But there was a few big names fired today. So yesterday, just kind of a quick recap, Raheem Morris, and then I think Raheem Morris was the only one fired yesterday. But fired from the Falcons, pretty crappy year. Benny alluded to earlier, they were eliminated by December 1st. So it's kind of writing on the wall for him. He kind of probably already knew. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets another chance somewhere else, or if
I think what is it? He's had previous head coaching experience. He was the head coach of the Buccaneers for a hot minute. I think he's a defensive coordinator. I think enough of the Raheem Morris experience. He's a defensive coordinator. It's fine. It's good. I think he's a fine defensive coordinator. I just don't think he's cut out for a head coach.
Yeah. Well, another defensive coordinator that got fired. Well, coach. But former defensive coordinator that might want to go back to defensive coordinating, Jonathan Gannon. How about it, buddy?
Woof.
I don't even get that.
You feel it in your gut?
15-36 over 3 years.
I don't even understand.
Who took the bus?
I don't even understand that situation. I don't even get it. I mean, why? I mean, the Cardinals lost the draft pick because they jumped the gun and offered him a job before this Eagles season was over. And it's look, if you were doing that for Bill Belichick, because at that time I was is he gonna leave the Patriots? That makes sense. That's worth losing the draft pick over Jonathan Gannon. He could have gone halfway through the offseason and been fine.
I think the Eagles got screwed in that situation too.
Todd, you never cease to annoy me with your I hope the Niners win, or I hope whoever's playing the Eagles wins.
He's just hate watching.
You're just hate watching the Birds, Todd. You're just hate watching. It'll be a close game. It won't be a blowout. I don't think the Eagles' offense is good enough to blow them out, and I don't think the Eagles' defense is bad enough to let them get blown out.
Coaching,
but yeah. Speaking of more coaching, we already alluded. Pete Carroll.
Wow, that was a surprise to me. I thought he would get one more year, but that was, of all the 1 year coaches this year, he was probably the one that deserved to get fired more than Aaron Glenn. He was absolutely horrible.
I feel like the Raiders got really overhyped to begin the year, and a lot of it was Ashton Genty, and then Geno Smith, didn't write back, dude, you're trash.
Yeah, so. And Genty looks pretty.
Genty
solid.
Looks good, but when he almost looks like a dog water.
Yeah, it's almost like before we had Saquon, we made almost every running back look good.
This one's a question. We'll give this one to Benny because Benny kind of was alluding to this earlier. Do you think Baltimore is going to let John Harbaugh go?
I do. I think.
Oh wow.
If you recall, the Eagles were in a similar situation. They were, coming off, I think, what was it? They won the Super Bowl. They'd gotten back. They'd made the playoffs 2 times after that. And then there was that year where, it was COVID. Wentz had some issues, and they finished, 4-11-1 or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that might have been their exact record. And then he didn't get fired immediately. They took about a week. They had a team meeting with him and Howie and Jeffrey Lurie, and that's when they decided to go in a different direction with Doug. I think Baltimore is going to do some soul searching. I mean, you lost a very emotional game against a division opponent, a standalone Sunday Night Football game to go to the playoffs. You lost that. Your kicker missed it wide right. I think, if they were to fire him now, it would come off as a kind of a knee-jerk situation. You take a couple of days, maybe even take a week, and you just kind of, reassess everything. Coaches aren't going to start to be hired until you probably get 2 or 3 weeks out. So, and the moment you fire Harbaugh, I mean, I'll preface my take by saying this. The moment you fire John Harbaugh, you kind of reset the coaching, the coaches that are available, because he immediately becomes the number 1 coach to be hired.
Oh yeah.
He's had success.
Do you think he would be a head coach somewhere next year?
I think he would. It would almost be like an Andy Reid scenario. He would have an offer before he was fired, almost. Yeah. Type situation. I think, and we can assess what teams probably would benefit by hiring him. But I think Baltimore, probably will. At the very least, they have to shake something up here, because something's got to change. Yeah. Every year, it's the same damn thing with this team. It's Lamar. The moment Lamar comes off the football field, it's like this team forgets how to play. And then you have constant errors and miscues by key players. The week 1, it was Derrick Henry fumbling. He never does that. Later in the season, it was, last year it was Mark Andrews dropping a touchdown pass. Earlier in the season, it was Zay Flowers doing something. I just something's got to change. Something is not getting through to the players, or maybe it's just the players aren't talented enough. And then you have to go through, who evaluates the talent, but something's got to shake up with the Ravens if they want to capitalize in this window. There's rumors that Lamar might not even be with the team much longer.
You think he might go to Miami like Todd?
No, saying? I don't. To trade him, it's too much. It's too much.
You think he might force his way out, release me and I'm going to Miami?
Now he has this isn't a situation where he's unhappy in Baltimore. It would be a situation where Baltimore would make the change because they're unhappy with him. And I don't think that's the case. There's this is where tabloid journalism drives me nuts. It's no, the quarterback that probably would cry his way out of a place would be a Tua, or a Kyler Murray would be a great example.
Yeah.
Or, Joe Burrow just frustrated with what the Bengals are doing. That's probably a better example of a quarterback that would just demand his way out of the building. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I think Lamar's probably going to be there. This is the team you have. They just re-signed Mark Andrews, which looks horrible in hindsight because Isaiah Likely's probably gone in free agency. That's just my analysis of what's going to happen in Baltimore right now.
Yeah, to me, it kind of feels like malpractice that Lamar Jackson hasn't even gotten a Super Bowl appearance yet, let alone win one. Because he's been so good.
I don't even know if he's been to a championship game.
Yeah, they have a couple. I think once, right? Isn't the Zay Flowers fumble, wasn't that against the Chiefs at home in the
was that to go to the Super Bowl?
I think so.
I
believe so.
Yeah, I think they had one appearance.
I think that was the one appearance they had. Because the other years, it was like 2019, they were the 1 seed, looked unstoppable. The Titans came in and beat them. And then every other year, it's been like they've gone to Buffalo and just they've crumbled, or it's been like random stuff.
But yeah, you're right. 2023, he lost his conference championship game. Yeah. That was the last time that was the last time he's been to a conference championship game. That was 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with Josh Allen. Like, he should have been to a Super Bowl at this point too. Now they have a better shot at it this year, but like both of these guys have been all-world quarterbacks, and they just haven't been able to get there. Mahomes has been incredible, obviously, but you think one of these two would be able to get there?
In the dance this year, it's Josh Allen's year.
It is Josh Allen's year.
Yeah,
at least it should be.
Yeah,
he's got no excuse this year.
So obviously, Pete Carroll fired by the Raiders, Gannon fired by the Cardinals, Stefanski fired by the Browns, and the Giants and the Titans already fired their coaches. Yeah. So I think in total, and then the Falcons. So I think in total that's 6, 7 openings, something like that. Around that many. It's gonna be interesting to see because, like, I think of all those jobs, I think absolutely none of them are desirable aside from the Falcons job. Every other job is I wouldn't want to.
Falcons weren't even desirable. They don't have a quarterback.
Oh,
look, Michael Penix ain't that bad, dude.
Yeah, he's not
handle Michael Penis, bro. Oh my gosh.
He's not good though.
So if you're the Falcons, if you can get like a pretty good offensive coach in there, I think they could do something. The NFC South is a joke. So like any offensive minded coach that goes to the Falcons could probably win 10 games. And no, I think I actually have a hot take on where Harbaugh is going to end up, but we'll get to that in a second.
Hugh Douglas going to the Atlanta Falcons as a head coach. if anybody else heard that on the radio, I was
Phillip Rivers to the Falcons.
Really?
That would make a lot of sense.
That would be pretty good. I can see that.
A lot of sense to me.
Okay. Where's your hot take for who Harbaugh is going to go to?
I think Harbaugh is the top man for the Raiders if he becomes available.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that. That sounds
That's
right.
a pretty similar situation. Yeah. Actually, we'll get right into it. So the top 18 draft picks came out, and the team with the number 1 pick, the Oakland Raiders. So I'm assuming it's maybe the Giants for Harbaugh, but I'm assuming that it's going to be Fernando Mendoza. I'm assuming.
Yep.
They'll take him. They'll pair him with Ashton Genty.
Yeah, I was about to say Ashton Genty's going to get himself a buddy now.
So that really would be a good fit, I think, for Harbaugh. I like that take. But just really quickly, so we can kind of get over to the wild card games. As it sits now, it'd be Raiders, Jets, Cardinals, Titans, Giants in the top 5. That's pretty normal.
Shout out to the Giants and Commanders completely choking their draft position.
Right? The Browns all the way at 6 this year. It's crazy.
Yep.
But what I wanted to highlight, the Rams pick 13th. So even if the Rams go on a crazy run, they have a first round from Atlanta, and they pick 13th.
Oh, top 15 pick, yeah.
Beautiful.
That trade last year to move up and get James Pierce was so bizarre to me, or defensive end was so bizarre to me. But Mendoza, if he comes, he's obviously going to come out. He's doing amazing things at Indiana. I think he's probably the best quarterback prospect. Now I say that in the sense of like, he's obviously the best college player, won the Heisman. In terms of what his future prospects are, I have to probably do some more work on him a little bit, but I think he could be a solid quarterback. He's a little bit of a mobile pocket passer. If he goes to the Raiders, I don't think that's a terrible fit. I will say they have to get their offensive line better. And this is where this is going to lead me to another kind of offhanded take. They probably will trade some players, and I think one of those big players is going to be Max Crosby, and I think a perfect fit for Max Crosby is the Philadelphia Eagles. A second or third round pick, maybe even, hey, if the Eagles go back to the Super Bowl, I would trade the 31st pick to get Max Crosby.
Max Crosby for Tanner McKee?
No, they probably don't want a quarterback, but actually I think Tanner McKee would be a perfect fit for like the Saints. I think that would make a lot of sense.
Oh, dude, yeah, that's a great take.
be the backup to Tyler Shuck, see what they can do next year. Shuck.
That's a great
Shuck it up.
I like that.
If neither one of those works, you tank, you fight, you cut both, you go after Arch Manning. Yeah. So I think that can make a lot of sense for the Saints. But for the Raiders, hire Harbaugh, draft Mendoza, you have Ashton Genty, you have Brock Bowers, invest in free agency in your offensive line, and then kind of establish yourself as kind of one of those tough offenses, and just hope your defense can rally enough to win you a few games.
Yeah. I mean, the Raiders definitely they what they have right now, they could definitely turn things around with it. This is going to be a pivot. Are they going to, waste their talent in Ashton Genty? Because essentially, if they don't try pivoting toward a crazy run, and I mean roster wise, if they don't pivot, then there's going to be a lot of wasted years and wasted talent in Ashton Genty. I think and we don't know his full potential because of how bad his offensive line is. Like, imagine if Genty had, the Eagles offensive line from last year, of course, and how crazy he would look then.
Yeah, so, I think he's a special back. I wasn't as hyped on him as saying he's going to be this generational runner. I think he's a really good running back. He could end up being one of the top 5 running backs in the league.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little weird to take him when you have a lot of holes on your roster. The Raiders they did.
Yeah.
But it sets them perfectly up to go and take a quarterback like a Fernando Mendoza, because now you bring him in. Listen, if Mendoza ended up with the Jets, I think his career would be cooked in a few years. And that's why I feel bad for the next quarterback on my list that likely will get drafted, which is Dante Moore if he comes out. I think if Dante Moore doesn't get the sense that he's going to be the number 1 overall pick, I would hope that he goes back to Oregon, because my God, if you go to the Jets, dude, you're just asking for your career to be over.
He's gonna pull a Trevor Lawrence, where he's just hanging up on the Jaguars.
I pull a Caleb Williams. Just don't go to the Jets. Don't go to the Jets. Demand ownership of that team.
Yeah, I feel like some of these quarterbacks should almost wait until the Steelers are done with Aaron Rodgers or something like that.
I think the
Steelers will never be low enough on the draft order to draft a quarterback.
That's true. But they'd have to trade up.
But I think the Steelers should already be in the hunt for a quarterback now, or try to look for some hidden talent somewhere.
That never seems to work out that much anymore.
Yeah, I know, but Aaron Rodgers, you see him go first game of the Jets, and everyone's like his career's over. Maybe that could happen next year with the Steelers, where he gets injured again. Or worst comes to worst, you have a quarterback that you're like, man, he might be legit, and then he's side by side with a veteran, and that's a held hand coach right there. So,
here's a thought for quarterback of the future for the Steelers. Last year they had Russell Wilson, they had Justin Fields. They let both of them go, and they brought in Aaron Rodgers. Fields likely will be either a trade candidate or he'll get cut by the Jets. He's not coming back. What if they reunited with Fields as a backup, and you have Rodgers, Fields, and then either Will Howard or Rudolph, whoever else is on the roster, and you just kind of see what happens there. You kind of a year of Fields sitting behind Rodgers, learning, and then when Rodgers is done, you have Fields there to kind of, because I think Fields is talented. If he's on a team that has talent around him, I think he can be a good quarterback. I think he can win 8 games.
Yeah.
I feel like we've seen so many what ifs with Fields at this point, though. It's been 3 different times now.
Well, I don't get it, because he puts up numbers though.
Puts up numbers. But then
I remember sitting down and watching the first half of almost every Jets game, and I'm like, wow, he looks pretty solid. And I remember near the end of the year, I looked at their record. And I said, when did this happen? I don't think I really sat through an entire Jets game, of course, because I'm not boring myself. But every time I would tune in, Justin Fields seemed to do solid.
Something. Yeah.
And then you'd see highlights of him on the Bears. You'd see, and it's what is he only good 1 out of every 3 plays? I don't understand what's up with Justin Fields, because I think he could be amazing, but at the same time, he's not. So I don't get it.
The Jets at 2, again, I think quarterback is what they're going to do. Dante Moore is probably where they're going to go. I would also hope they're probably going to look in free agency. Whatever they decide to do, it's going to ruin someone's career. So that number 2 is, good luck, buddy. The Cardinals at 3 are a team I want to think on for a second, because Kyler's not coming back. Kyler's done. They're not. They're so done with that dude. It's not even funny. Jacoby Brissett looks good, but it's almost like, oh wow, Jacoby Brissett sets the completion record as the Cardinals lose 44-22. Like it's every week. It's like, Jacoby Brissett does something that's like, wow, he did that, but the Cardinals lost by 4 scores. So to me, I think Arizona probably should bring back Jacoby Brissett. With that 3rd pick, I'd love to see them invest in the trenches, whether that's on defense or offensive line, and just, bring in a head coach that's like just a normal dude, not a freak like Gannon. Like, oh my Lord. Like, see, that would be a cool place for Stefanski. Yeah.
Plays.
You have a fire in your gut? Should you take the bus over here?
Right. But moving on for the sake of time, it's wild card weekend, and we've got some big games to break down. Let's kick it off here. These are the matchups. Saturday's games. First, you got Rams-Panthers at 4:30. Got Packers-Bears at 8 o'clock. Those are the Saturday games. Both kind of, the Rams game, probably a blowout. Packers, who knows. But Buffalo Bills, Jacksonville Jaguars, 1 p.m. on Sunday. Going to be a good one. Eagles, 49ers, going to be a good one. Chargers, Patriots, 8 o'clock Sunday Night Football. And then Texans, Steelers on Monday night. How are we feeling about these ones, ladies and gentlemen?
I like this wild card weekend. I do. It's got a little bit of everything for everybody.
Yeah.
I'll let Chris get in his couple of seconds, but I'm ready to give some predictions here. I think this is going to be a fun weekend.
What you got for us, Chris?
Yeah, I only think there's maybe one bad game. That's that Panthers game. I think the Panthers just going to get blown out. But the rest of them, I don't think the Steelers game is going to be all that good. But the Texans' offense hasn't looked overly good at times either. So that could be a close game just because of the defenses. But I don't see the Panthers putting up a fight at all against the Rams.
Yeah. What about certain?
Do we want to talk about that right now, or
we'll get to that one in a little bit because I got a feeling Chris is going to tell us they're going to lose or something. But Benny, give us some of your predictions. How you're feeling about some of these games?
Sure, I agree with Chris in the sense that the Rams are the favorite to win against the Panthers, and they're probably going to, if not.
They're like 10.5-point favorites, aren't they?
Yeah. I want Vegas to pump their brakes because the Panthers they're not a horrible
team. The Panthers beat them at home this year.
So let's remember that. But the Rams are obviously a very good team. They have an MVP front runner, in my opinion, in Matt Stafford, even though Drake May seems to kind of be jockeying for position with him. And also Trevor Lawrence should be in the MVP conversation too. I think we should talk about that. But I have the Panthers beating the Rams. I have the Rams beating the Panthers to advance. I think they're probably going to play the Seahawks. I already talked about the Eagles beating the 49ers and the Bears beating the Packers in the NFC. I think that's kind of my matchups on the NFC side. For the AFC side, I'm going to take one crazy upset on the AFC side. I think the Chargers beat the Patriots.
Yes. Not the only one.
Yeah, and here's why. The Patriots have less wins against teams above 500 than the Giants do. They have the exact same record as the Giants do against teams that are 500 or better.
Wow.
Both have 2 wins. They've only beaten one. They've only beaten one team though that had an above 500 record. So that's, to me, like I think it's impressive to see what they've done. I think Mike Vrabel could be on the ballot for Coach of the Year. I think he probably deserves to be, in that conversation. At the end of the day, though, the Chargers are a tough team. They're a gritty team. They're battle tested. They have a coach that wins ugly games and wins games and wins them ugly in Jim Harbaugh. So I can see the Chargers going to New England. I can see Justin Herbert having a legacy game and pulling this one out. I said that last year, though, in Houston. He disappointed me, but I have the Chargers beating the Patriots. I have the Jags beating the Bills, kind of quietly slamming the door on the Bills' window here as they move into a new stadium. And then I have the Steelers beating the Texans in a game that I'm going to be watching because I think that's going to be fun.
Steelers beating the Texans. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been hate watching the Steelers.
What do you got? What are your little playoff predictions for the wild card weekend?
It's always tough to say because the wild card it's wild every year. something crazy and unexpected seems to happen. To bring back Kevin Cobb. I don't know about that.
Comments actually go wild with the ex-Cardinals quarterback.
But it's always something ridiculous like the Panthers winning for some reason happening. Like ridiculous crap happens. And I don't necessarily know where I stand on anything. I think the Chargers beating Patriots, that's reasonable. Patriots have been on a roll. I think the Bears, of course, are going to win. I think the Rams are going to win. I think the Eagles are going to win. I think that's pretty set on the NFC side. But yeah, and AFC is a toss-up. So I'm just kind of sitting back, seeing how the first week goes, and I'll really try to get into it next week.
Yeah, I think I really agree with Benny. Like my biggest thought was when I saw it was, I think the Chargers are going to go into New England and they're going to upset the Patriots.
That's reasonable.
No one's talking about this, but like two very big Patriots players have like assault charges on them right now. Like
with that clouding their team with like it's.
I didn't even think about that.
I look at like the Patriots, honestly, even like a team like the 49ers. I've said it kind of all year. They're kind of benefiting. Like they haven't been good for the last few years. I'm not going to say like Brock Purdy's trash. I'm not going to say Drake May is trash, but some of the teams they have been fortunate enough to play have been horrible teams.
The way the NFL does its schedule, if you finish last place, you get the last place schedule.
Exactly.
That creates opportunities, though, for teams like the 49ers who got who ended up finishing in last place because they had a bunch of injuries and it just, they just kept losing games in ridiculous ways. Then you have the Patriots who were just kind of not good last year. I mean, they had a bad coach, they had bad coaching, they had bad players. They invested heavily in the offseason because they had a ton of cap, and then voila, you see, that rookie quarterback takes a step, because he has weapons around him. You get a good coach in there. So it creates vacuums like this where teams can run up and down the standings. How people are disappointed that the Chiefs didn't make the playoffs. The Chiefs played a brutal schedule. The Eagles played a brutal schedule. I think the NFL needs to reevaluate the way they do the schedules because it's just too hard. Like for the good teams, they have to play like a war every week. It's like, hey, man, it would be nice every now and then for the Eagles to play the Titans.
Right? That would be awesome. Well,
next year,
2026 season. But I think some of those teams are kind of benefiting from weaker schedules. They're kind of sneaking in, which not to say like they're not going to be a tough opponent. I think as far as like the Patriots go, though, they haven't really been battle tested yet. They haven't really played that good team. And I just feel like the Chargers, they played a tougher schedule. I think they're in the same division as the Broncos and the Chiefs. Like they're a tough team, and Jim Harbaugh, their head coach, he's a tough coach. Like he's got playoff experience. I know Mike Vrabel does too, but like Vrabel has far less playoff experience than Jim Harbaugh, and I feel like that is something that isn't being talked about enough either. Jim Harbaugh is probably the most playoff experienced coach in the AFC besides Mike Tomlin.
Sean Payton.
Oh, Sean Payton too. I
forgot about him. That's about
so there's those three, right? And those are like, but really the two of them, Sean Payton and Jim Harbaugh, did it in the NFC. Now they're in the AFC doing it. So it's crazy. But I think those are the three teams that are going to have the best shot to do things this postseason just because their head coach's experience in the playoffs. So I think the Chargers are going to pull off an upset. I don't like as much as I want to say I think the Steelers will win. I don't know, just because I think it'll be really tough with the Texans defensive line being able to put pressure on Aaron Rodgers. I don't think their offense is that good, but if their defense can kind of put pressure on Rodgers and make him uncomfortable and force him to throw that he doesn't want to throw, it's going to be a long day for him. Now, the Steelers do get DK back, so that'll be huge for them. That'll be massive, and I think that plays a factor into it, even though Derek Stingley and that secondary is really, really good. And then the Jaguars, I think they're going to beat the Bills. The Bills don't
have rips my heart out. It rips my heart out because I really want to see the Bills do well, but man.
Yeah, the Bills just it's Josh Allen and James Cook, and it's like that's it.
I was just
like the Bills don't have anybody else. The Bills need more weapons. So
and Trevor Lawrence has turned into that guy.
Trevor Lawrence is.
He's on a run.
I don't even know. Like he's going insane. And how about Liam Cohen, like Coach of the Year candidate right there, Duval. You know, like nobody would have thought about that. But then if you go in the NFC, the Rams are going to obliterate the Panthers. I'm sorry. Like the Rams, they've been playing poorly over the last few weeks. They need a game to get right, and like what a better team to get right against than like the 8 and 9 Panthers, who are just abysmal. And Bryce Young is like so like. Not only did they beat you earlier in the year in Carolina, so you have that going for you. You're like, okay, we got some revenge on our mind. But like Bryce Young has been so inconsistent this year that it's like you don't even know if like the real Bryce Young that can win the game will show up. We'll get to the Eagles in a little bit, well, after this segment, I guess. But the only other thing, like, you know, Packers-Bears is going to be a good one. I could see, like, for as banged up as the Packers are, it's hard for me to say I could see the Packers winning. But I like there's a chance because it's a divisional game. And clearly, yesterday we saw, like, the Bears aren't unbeatable at home. The Bears are very flawed. I like to look at the 49ers-Bears game 2 weeks ago. Like, that just, in my opinion, yes, both offenses can be great. But both defenses, man, like, horrendous.
Yeah.
38 to 40, like 38 to 42. Like, that is horrendous defensive play. So that's a big one to watch. And then, yeah, we got Eagles 49ers. So I'll let, you know, any of you guys go first.
Chaos, Chris.
Chris,
He's the one that wants to.
Oh, yeah, Chris,
I
please tell us how Mr. Irrelevant is going to, you know, drop it.
If we want to talk about Mr. Irrelevant, at this point, why were we even calling him Mr. Irrelevant? He's been in the fucking league for forever and, like, proved that he's a good enough quarterback. But I think the Eagles are going to win. It's going to be a very low-scoring game. They're going to pull one out. It's going to be like 17-13 or some low-scoring game like that. They need to not get too many penalties, not turn over the football. If they do those two things, they're going to win. Even if their offense isn't great, they don't turn over the ball and limit the penalties, they'll win.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty tame for a guy with the nickname K.
Yeah, I was expecting foaming at the mouth. I was expecting.
They just won a Super Bowl. I mean, I can't really do too much right now. Now, if they lose on Sunday, then you're going to see the chaos come out, and I want everybody fired.
Oh yeah. What you got for us, Benny? What do you see happening Sunday at 4:30?
Yeah, I see the Eagles as the favorite to beat the 49ers. I think it's going to be a good game. But this Eagles defense is just too good. The last time the 49ers were in Philly for a playoff game, that was the game where Brock Purdy's elbow exploded. Now, he came back the following year and absolutely stomped us out on primetime, which wasn't good. But I just, you know, the 49ers are a team. They're still very good. I think they're still a very solid team, but they're the other team that if you couldn't play the Packers, I would have preferred to play the 49ers at home. And, you know, I think that gives the Eagles a pretty good chance to win. Their defense just has to do what they do. Their offense just has to be good enough. And I think if they can get to 20 points, I can see the Eagles winning a game 21-13 or 21-10, something like that.
Yeah. Well,
but it's not going to inspire a lot of confidence as they go the next round to play the Bears. If you know, because then you have to go to Chicago to play the Bears, and
go to Chicago and then come back for the NFC Championship game.
No, I don't think that's going to happen. Because if you beat the Bears, I think you're probably going to face the Seahawks, and Seattle's defense is, in my opinion, one of the only defenses that I think ranks above the Eagles. The Broncos are really good too, but I just the way I see the playoffs shaking out is, you know, the Eagles are going to have to win a road game, and how many road games are they going to win? You know, maybe one. I don't know. The confidence is not very high with the way this offense. The confidence is with the defense, and the defense can keep. I don't think we're going to get blown out in the playoffs, but you know, lose a game 6 points or by a touchdown. I can see that happen, and that would absolutely frustrate me because you know how good this team can be.
And they'll be winning and give it up at the end.
Yeah.
You got any thoughts for this Sunday?
Honestly, we should win this. I think it's pretty clear. They're too beat up. I don't know. I think is Brandon Ayuk back or no? I think he might.
Brandon Ayuk is driving 100 miles per hour by Levi Stadium, so I don't think he's going to be in there.
He's not. Soon. No, I mean he's been out all season. I mean Bosa's been out. Even if they have some surprise return, in the injury reserve.
Nick Bosa's out, and he's still third in sacks on the team. He hasn't played since week 3.
Eagles legend Bryce Huff shooting up against us.
Don't they have Javon Hargrave, or did he go to
he's not with the team
Raiders or something ridiculous? Yeah. He played for them like last year, but they have too many key players out. I'm surprised, and Purdy. I don't know how shaken up he is. Yeah, Fred Warner, that's crazy. If we lose this, it'll be embarrassing. We have no excuse. Yeah. We will have.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it could happen. I think the 49ers have a really good running back and a quarterback that is still pretty talented.
That's what I'm saying. That's what scares me is the fact that it can happen reasonably, and if it does, we have no excuse. I mean, Christian McCaffrey. Other than him, you have Kittle.
I think the way to describe it is this is a game the Eagles shouldn't lose.
Yes, that's a better way to word it. But, it's gonna I think it's gonna be a close match. It's gonna be closer than it should be. I think it's gonna be one of those wins where the Eagles win and we're gonna be sitting on here like, what are we doing? We look terrible. Yeah. And I think
the Eagles win, and I've never been more miserable in my life.
Exactly. It's gonna be a miserable win. And it's not going to be like the last time we played them. As much I hope to be wrong. I swear, I hope I'm wrong. But, that's where I stand with that game.
Oh, you guys are inspiring confidence. No, I just find it hard to believe that in a home playoff game that the Eagles aren't going to come out and just be able to defensively dominate. They're at home. They got the crowd behind them. I think George Kittle. I didn't see the clip, but I think, and I saw at least it was a caption George Kittle referencing not wanting to come to Philadelphia to play in the playoffs. And I get the last time the Niners came here, it was a blowout. 49ers won, but they had a lot more players. They had a lot. Our defense was nowhere near as good as it was this year or even last year in 2023. Mm-hmm. So I just don't see the 49ers offense coming in and just lighting us up. I don't.
Exactly.
I get it. Juwan Jennings is okay. George Kittle doesn't really scare me anymore. He's getting old.
Yeah.
He's all right.
And he had an injured season. Maybe he'll have more traction. But this year I feel like he's still going to be a little more timid.
Yeah, stick somebody like Cooper DeJean on him. I don't see him doing that much. If you can contain Christian McCaffrey, which I think Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean are going to play a big
Jalen Carter,
Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis too. They're going to have a big role in that, and even Jalix Hunt and even Brandon Graham off the edge. Talking about that, Trent Williams, if he doesn't play, it's over. I'm sorry.
And hopefully Lane Johnson
forgot he even existed, to be honest with
you. If Lane Johnson's back on the field, I think that ticks the Eagles offense up a little bit. But, a lot of Eagles fans are going to sit here and say, maybe the offense has been playing possum. You don't do that in the NFL. No, you don't save your bullets for the
only thing you might be able to say is they kind of, in the last couple weeks, have said, Jalen, let's dial it back with the running. Now, once we get to the playoffs, like we saw last year, you might have to do it a little bit more. But that is probably the only. And that's the tiniest little fraction of their offense that they might be holding back. But at the same time, they might not even be holding that back. Yeah. It might just be Jalen doesn't want to run, so he doesn't run.
I don't think it's Jalen not wanting to do stuff. I think Jalen's willing to do anything. Listen, people that think that Jalen doesn't do anything he can to win. Come on, what are you talking about? This is a guy that week 1 was the entire offense against the Cowboys.
Exactly.
The problem is, when you watch every receiver go out on their route tree, when you watch every drop back, and this is where I wish fans didn't watch the traditional broadcast view of games. I wish it was standard to watch that ESPN Thursday or the Thursday Night Football Skycam version where you can see literally no one's open. The route trees aren't sophisticated. And, the reads, Jalen Hurts is a 2-read quarterback, 1-2 run. That's what he does. That's what he is. And there's plenty of quarterbacks like that in the NFL. There's one in Baltimore right now, and he's won 3 MVPs. So understand, if wide receivers aren't getting open in those first couple of routes because of how predictable things are with this offense, it's going to look like Jalen Hurts isn't playing well. That's not the case. He's doing exactly what the offense is supposed to do. The problem is the offensive coordinator, and it's been this way. It's been stale the entire year. So it's not going to change overnight. If it does, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen a head coach do. You play to win every single game. You play to win as many games as you can every year, because you can't sit there and this isn't a boxing match. You're not going to play rope-a-dope and then all of a sudden throw your best punches come the playoffs. That's not how this works in football. Teams will figure that out. Teams will be ready for it. And, you'll just look like an idiot. So, if they can hit an extra gear, cool. But that would actually probably make me even more mad if they hang 30 up on the 49ers at home in the playoffs. That would probably tick me off even more if they just won 21-10.
And that'll mean Patullo's coming back if they hang 30.
Yeah.
But here's the thing too, and this is why Kevin Patullo is such a frustrating situation, is because he's learning on the job. And somebody's learning, he's learning on the job, he's making mistakes, he's gaining experience. So the week he's going into right now, he's going to be better than he was 2-3 weeks ago because he's learning on the job. Now, is he going to, bring his horse into high gear now? I think he's been trying to lock down the best he can, of course, being in the situation that he's at right now. But I don't know. I mean, he's going to be better this week than he was last week, and he's going to slowly be getting better. So hopefully we see some kind of turn, but nothing this quick is going to happen.
I'd like to see the Eagles lean heavy on a power running game. I would love to see them dial it back in terms of these long developing routes and passing, and just get back to play action, rollout, power football. Calcaterra coming around as a fullback and sealing off the edge and letting Saquon do his thing. I'd love to see that in the playoffs. I'd love the cold and the way Philly is, and just the hard nosed type football that wins in the playoffs. I'd love to see the Eagles get back to that, but. Just because I think that's the recipe to win. You're going to see a lot of football this weekend, and the recipe to win. The reason why, if the Chargers go into Foxborough and win, is not going to be because Justin Herbert throws for 300 yards. It's going to be because they used a power running game to wear down that Patriots defense. That's what's going to win in January.
That's the reason the Seahawks are the 1 seed, is they literally came out and they ran all over the 49ers this weekend. And the Eagles, they have the talent to do that. And if Lane Johnson comes back this week, it'll be a huge boost. And I don't think it'll be anywhere near his production of last year's playoffs, but he could have a big game, and Saquon needs that. This offense needs that. And if they can establish half as good of a running game as they had last year, if they can mix Tank Bigsby in just a little bit, they could have something cooking. And I want to kind of go back to what you kind of said. Say we beat the 49ers. We'll skip ahead a little bit.
Sure.
We'll as they say on WIP, we'll recklessly speculate. I like that term. I like that. But if the Eagles go to Chicago per se, right? I think they have a pretty decent shot at winning on the road. And I want to say this year and the last couple of years in particular has kind of built them up for that. So we saw early in the year, they went to Kansas City, scored 20 points, won on the road. This year, they went to Buffalo, scored 13 points, won on the road. Went to Green Bay, scored 10 points, won on the road. Their defense, no matter when, no matter where, the defense shows up and plays their heart out. As long as and the other thing is, I think with the Bears, it would be even more okay, you know what? You guys came in our building. You kicked us in. You kicked us around. You gave us the what 2, the what 4, or whatever it is. You ran it all over us. And I kind of feel like Ben Johnson's one of those coaches is you know what? This is what I did last time. I'm going to do it again. And I think he might fall victim to it. A little cockiness in the early game, in the early stages of a game like that. and the Eagles would be able to kind of jump ahead and just maybe take control of a game like that. And their defense, Vic Fangio, I'll say it once, I'll say it again forever. He's not going to get embarrassed twice by the same guy. He's not.
Well, the defense wasn't the reason the Eagles lost to the Bears. The offense not doing anything was the reason why they lost to the Bears. And that's where, like, you know, they went on the road and they won those games by not even scoring. I think 16 points or less. Dude, if they go to Chicago and they can't put up more than 20 points, they're not winning that game. Like, there's absolutely no way they're
the Lions just put up 19 yesterday and won.
Yeah, that was like. Do you think the Bears were trying?
Yes. Yeah. No, because Ben Johnson came out and said, well, we play our starters unlike some people. We want to get our seating. Like, okay, dude. Yeah.
I think, they played their starters. I think they also played a very conservative game because they didn't want anyone to get hurt because they knew regardless, they're going into the playoffs. They have to win some playoff games here. That's the whole point. The Bears are a good team. Ben Johnson's a good coach. He's got that team, playing well. He was resuscitated the hype on Caleb Williams. I made my grand apology last week, and if he wins a playoff game, I'll look like an even bigger idiot. But that being said, if the Eagles have to play a road game in Chicago against that team coming off a likely victory over the Packers, maybe you can get that emotional swell where, we beat a longtime rival. Now we got to play the Eagles, and maybe the Eagles can catch him that way. But you're not going to beat them if you don't put 20 points up or more.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you see an infamous triple blink.
Triple doink.
Watch it go in too. Triple doink.
Triple doink in for the win. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I think I like the Eagles' chances, at least for this week. We won't get too far ahead of ourselves. But other than that, that's pretty much all we got for you guys tonight. I want to thank Benny. I want to thank Chris for joining us. But other than that, go Birds. We'll see you next week, hopefully, after Eagles playoff win. And we'll be talking about the divisional round next week. Go Birds. Everybody have a great week.
Whew. This is for you.
Alice fans don't know what these are.
Gets it, Saquon Barkley. First down. Barkley. Oh! Saquon.